All right, welcome everyone. Happy Tuesday. Thanks for taking some time out. For those of you who couldn't make it live and are watching this replay, thank you for taking the time to watch this replay. Um, in my mind, it's never a bad investment of your time to learn more about your body and how awesome it is and the healing capabilities that we have. And I always like to ask a couple of questions in the beginning, and I would love for you to answer in your own mind, but also you can type your answer in the chat um, and just think about it internally as well. But I always like to ask when you were invited to this call, what was it that interested you and prompted you to attend the call? Was there some point of interest or a need that you had that got you to come? So I always like to ask that. And again, you can feel free to share your answer in the chat, or you can always just, keep it to yourself. You can share with us privately, but we're always um, eager to learn more about you and what your needs are and your desires. And then another question that I have that I thought of today while I was preparing this was, what if you reached the end of your life with never hearing about all the amazing built-in mechanisms that your body has for healing? How would you feel? So, knowing what I know now and what I'll share during this talk, if if I didn't know what I know now about my body, I'd be mad. I'd be like, it's like when somebody knows something and they don't tell you, and you're like, why did you not tell me this? I wish I had heard about this years ago. Or, oh, I didn't know that my phone could do this. Or I don't know that Costco had that benefit that I could take advantage of. And our bodies are the same way. We have a lot of internal capabilities, yet it seems like, especially in America, our society is really into outsourcing. We're always looking outside of ourselves for healing and, you know, what supplement can fix this or help me with this problem. And Amanda had invited me to this PCOS group, and there's like 62,000 people in that group, I think. And it feels like every 30 minutes, somebody is asking, what supplement can I take to get pregnant? What supplement can I take to do this? And it's like, you just want to send like one of those airplanes with a banner or like fireworks or something to get people's attention and say, there's so much inside of yourself that we can turn on that gives you a really huge advantage to your healing because it addresses root cause of what's ailing us, which we'll get into as well. But tonight I'm going to talk about a few different things, but I really wanted to share a few things and insights I had about our mitochondria. They are way too small to see, but they're way too big to ignore. They're key to our health and our energy and our ability to have healthy, functional mitochondria. The key is inside of us. There are some external helps that can help us, but really it's turning on those keys inside of us to get the benefit of what we can do for ourselves. So I always share this slide because in America, we spend two times as much on healthcare as other developed nations, yet we rank last in life expectancy. And we have like the highest number of people living with multiple chronic illnesses in developed countries. And there's a lot of reasons for it. Um, but we face really unprecedented levels of exposure to toxins and our environment and our food that we eat and our radiation from devices and just everything, the environment that we live in, our water, like Amanda's passionate about sharing. It's really we're fighting an uphill battle when we are immersed in society. And if we're out trying to outsource to that same society for our solutions, we're going to be in trouble. And you can see that with the way uh, our outcomes are going. So that's why we're sharing something different tonight. And I didn't always know about this solution, and I didn't always have this mindset, really. Um, I would say it really wasn't until I was in in my 30s. I was 37 when I got back from a deployment and realized that the doctors had found these really large thyroid nodules. I was one of two people that got stuck in Texas at Fort Bliss because of medical issues. And I had no idea that I had these nodules, like I was a basketball player, I had like big hands and like I always had like a big neck. So I didn't have any like really graceful, elegant neck like some movie star. And so it never really, I never saw that I had nodules. I never felt that I had nodules. But anyway, they found them and that set me on a path that started a path of looking more into holistic wellness. And I used to work in a hospital, and it was around COVID that I had more awakenings and really my worldview shifted and everything kind of came to this perfect storm where I was like, I can no longer stay in this environment with my worldview and my changing worldview. I have to do something different. So I went back to school for an for a integrative health and science degree. It used to be complementary alternative medicine, and that taught me a lot. But I had learned about cellular activation before this deployment, actually. It was way back in 2015 that I learned about it. And I had been taking some of the cellular activators and I stopped. Sometimes when our life gets challenging and we go through different types of trials, whether it be relational or career or any or health. Sometimes we turn away from the things we know we should do and we go back to old habits that don't help us. I kind of did that for a little while, but I got back on track and um, LifeVantage and cellular activation came back into my life in 2020. So, November of 2020 was when I signed up as a consultant to share LifeVantage because I knew I was going to. As soon as I saw the science behind it again, was reintroduced to it by a friend that went to West Point as well, and she was my mentor when I was in high school. I was like, I know I'm going to be sharing this with people, so I jumped right back on board. And or as a consultant this time, but what was it that got me interested? It was because I got to see a little bit about the background and the science and like saw that the research for our flagship product especially had gone back years and years and years. It wasn't until 2005 that it came to the mainstream or started to get into awareness because of this ABC primetime investigative report. But Dr. McCord, who I'll share about in a minute, he was doing his research for 40 years before or more before he came up with this activator in 2020 2005 was when it was really, being researched heavily and it was being researched here in Colorado. So I was like, "Oh, there's UC Health and the Webb Institute for Antioxidants, And I'm like, this is awesome. So then I just kept learning about the science and they've added on activators since then. So they just keep adding tools for different challenges that we face in our world. So, three root causes of aging and disease: free radical damage and oxidative stress, number one. Mitochondria is the second one. And then just our slowing down of our longevity proteins, sirtuins, and you might hear NAD. It's a molecule in our body, and the amounts reduce over time. Um, Time magazine just came out, I don't know, within the last 10 years, I believe, and said that NAD is the fountain of youth. So there's all of these scientific discoveries that we have at our disposal and that LifeVantage is harnessing to make the challenges of aging and disease. Our bodies are built to heal themselves. I heard an amazing quote the other day. And there was I think a lot of different people have said it, or a few different people have said it, and I'll have to go back and see who was quoted as saying it was a neuroscientist, but he said, "Your body is the best doctor in the room." And I was like, that's a freaking awesome quote because it is so true. Like our bodies were made to heal themselves and they have such an intelligent design, but our modern society takes us farther and farther away from balance and homeostasis. What can we do to bring ourselves back? That's what we're sharing tonight. The first thing, this is just a little background before I get into the mitochondria, but the first thing we can do is really address that free radical damage. You can see all of the conditions in this graphic that are tied to oxidative stress. You can literally go to PubMed, type in oxidative stress, and fill in the blank. Diabetes, oxidative stress, and Parkinson's, and see the numerous articles that link the disease state with the root cause. So, but we don't have to leave our wellness to chance. I also heard someone say once, God didn't create us and say, good luck with that. Like, go and I wish you the best. Good luck with everything. It's like, no, our bodies are so amazingly designed, you know. Amanda and I love the phrase intelligent design because really, honestly, when the more I learn about the body, I can't even fathom it, really. It just blows my mind. And it makes me feel very small, in my brain. I'm like, oh my gosh, how can I even understand all of this? It's crazy, but it's awesome as well. And so, how do we address that free radical damage? Well, that's our flagship activator. It's a 5 herb microdosed recipe that activates a pathway in our body, which is the NRF2 pathway. This is the first one that really came on the scene back in 2005. And I'll talk about Dr. McCord in the next slide, but originally he tried to activate this pathway with with pharmaceuticals. But then the more and more he researched, he discovered this or put together this formula that could activate this pathway more strongly than food alone can or pharmaceuticals can. And interestingly enough, there was a pharmaceutical company that was trying to develop an NRF2 activator. It was an MS company and a drug company, and they spent, I think, $50 billion on this research study or something like astronomical. And they, in the end, found that maybe they spent that much developing their product. But anyway, all that to say, lots of money, had gone into this product and this research, all to show that this little herbal pill was way more effective, like at activating this pathway than even a pharmaceutical was. So it's really amazing. The science bears out that we can reduce oxidative stress, that root cause of disease and aging, by an average of 40% in 30 days. And because the peer-reviewed research backed that up, we now have an FDA-approved statement, which is unheard of with supplements because supplements are not regulated by the FDA. All we can say is we can't claim to cure, mitigate, or treat disease because no supplement can say that. What we can say is that we reduce a root cause of aging and disease by an average of 40% in 30 days, which is pretty amazing. Dr. McCord is also amazing. He was the co-discoverer of our master antioxidant, and he discovered that all the way back in 1969. And I always kind of marvel that most people don't even have a clue that they have a master antioxidant that is called SOD for short, but superoxide dismutase is the total term for it, name for it. And it neutralizes the superoxide free radical. So we have a antioxidant enzyme that neutralizes a free radical. And our body can make these antioxidant enzymes if we trigger this pathway to upregulate. Otherwise, you're going to try to supplement it. You're going to be going out and buying glutathione, liposomal glutathione, or you're going to go get an IV of glutathione. But you can do better than that. Your body can actually make it. So it's amazing. And these are all of the institutions that have done peer-reviewed research on NRF2 activation. And there was even a the LSU study that you see there was what inspired our skincare line. So LifeVantage has a clean skincare line with NRF2 ingredients that combat oxidative stress, from the outside in, free radicals and that bombardment from the, on the inside and the outside. So we have all the angles. But what I really wanted to focus on tonight was diving a little deeper into the second pathway that we can activate, and that is to have healthy mitochondria. So those are the batteries of the cell. And, we might have learned about mitochondria. I mean, I think I remember learning about mitochondria back in, biology class. But a lot of people, if you said mitochondria, they may not even remember what they do. But they are becoming more prevalent. Mitochondrial dysfunction is becoming more prevalent in talks on wellness because we are realizing the link between mitochondrial dysfunction and dis-ease states. So this is what your mitochondria is responsible for. All of the energy production so that we can do all of our cellular processes and that our organs can work correctly, that we can reduce inflammation, that our cells that need to die can die, that we can create healthy cells, that we can prevent cells from going rogue, even calcium balance. So the more I learn, the more I'm just like really blown away. These mitochondria are so small in our cells, but their impact are so huge. And our brain, our heart, for females, our ovaries, they have the highest concentration of mitochondria per cell in our body. Our brain can have up to 2 million mitochondria per cell. That shows you how important the brain is. So if they're not functioning, what do you think is going to happen? Well, our wellness is going to degrade. So you can actually look up mitochondrial dysfunction in PubMed and you can find all of the connections. So I have literally been looking at this picture on the slide for months and months and months. And I even have this search on mitochondrial dysfunction and diabetes. But it wasn't until like recently that I was processing all of this and even like kind of chatting things out with Claude AI about the importance of mitochondria that I had the connection with metabolic, our metabolic health. And diabetes is right here on this graphic. But for some reason, my mind didn't key in on it because I was like, what would the mitochondria have to do with diabetes or insulin resistance? Well, your mitochondria are what, again, take that food energy that we get and convert it into energy for our biological processes. So if that's not working properly, then of course we're going to have problems with insulin resistance, in addition to all of the processed food that we eat and stuff. So I was like just blown away. My mind was like, "Oh my gosh." It was like this light bulb came together and I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, mitochondrial dysfunction is so key in so many things as you can see on this graphic." And we know that all of the, pharmaceuticals that are being introduced now to address our metabolism and our metabolic syndromes that we have now, and GLP-1 is a huge one. GLP-1, the synthetic version, is synthetic. And I'm thinking, wow, we really need to even address the mitochondria before we even try to address the GLP-1 hormone. In my brain, this is the way I see it. It's a root cause that we should address before we try to layer on helping GLP-1. But everybody wants to jump to the GLP-1 or the pharmaceutical or the supplement. And that's why we are really passionate about sharing what our bodies are capable of because people deserve to know. This is why we're here. And this is why I will never stop sharing, honestly. No matter how many people show up to a call or watch the replay or see my post in this PCOS group, I will never stop sharing because people are suffering. They're looking for solutions and they don't realize the solution is inside of themselves. Many solutions. Yes, there are solutions outside of ourselves, but we have so many solutions on the inside waiting to be tapped into. That's why we will never stop sharing. So I wanted to share a little bit, just a phenomenon that happens with our mitochondria. I learned about this through one of our friends and business partners a few years ago. Her name's Susan. She is very into yoga and breath work and trauma informed care. And she was another friend from the military. And one thing that happens in our mitochondria is that trauma and toxins and infections and chemicals, they can literally hijack the function of our mitochondria. So now, instead of providing energy for all of these body processes, they're now in survival mode. And what happens is that our cellular energy leaks out of the cell. It doesn't go where it's supposed to go. It Our body is not working optimally. Again, we're getting away from homeostasis and balance, and we need to bring ourselves back. But the crazy thing about this cell danger response is that it doesn't automatically go back to the normal function. So our bodies can get hijacked and then stay in this survival mode. So then what do you think that's going to do to our health? It's going to continue to take us farther away from optimal health and the ability to heal ourselves. I want to show you quickly what research has shown is linked to this cell danger response. I mean, it runs the gamut, right? Autoimmune, these chronic pain syndromes, um, type 1 diabetes, PTSD, autism, mental health disorders, challenges, gluten intolerance, all of these things, even cancer, you know. So it's very, very interesting. And the good news, okay, the good news, I won't talk about this one too much because I already kind of covered it with the brain health. But the good news is we can absolutely take back the function of our mitochondria and we can create new healthy mitochondria because there is a pathway for that. So the pathway for that is the NRF1 pathway. So we have that NRF2 pathway that upregulates all of our master antioxidants. And then we have this NRF1 pathway that can help us to make healthy mitochondria. So you can see the ingredients that are in there. Again, it's a recipe of targeted ingredients that can help our bodies activate this NRF1 pathway to increase our cellular energy and increase that cellular fuel for our biological processes, that ATP. So that's really amazing to know. And so this is why we share, because we need people to know that there is hope and it's inside of us and we can activate it because some brilliant people figured out how to do it. And wanted to quickly share a couple of success stories with cellular activation and some different challenges. So, neurological challenges. So, I love Sheila's testimony because they told her that she would most likely be bedridden and that she wouldn't be able to, walk and like live a normal life, what we consider normal in our society. And then within 4 months, of supporting her own body's pathways, she had lost 49 pounds and there she was on her 66th birthday. Like, I don't know how people can see, this testimony and not be like, realize that something's there, Um, because her results are just crazy awesome. And she has literally gotten her life back. She has biohacked her life back. She has activated her life back. And to me, that is just a beautiful thing. And then I wanted to share, I know, one of thousands. I wanted to share my friend Hannah's story because Hannah we met through LifeVantage. I didn't know Hannah before LifeVantage. She lives up in Michigan, but we had some a little bit of a similar background in that we both worked in a hospital. She was a nurse, and at one point during the COVID challenges that we had, she actually was in the hospital herself. And this, as she was a nurse at the time, not for that, but just in the hospital, right? And her coworker and the staff was like, when asking her husband, when can she come back to work? And we both became more into root cause helps, but she was suffering with reproductive struggles and um, female issues, which are so prevalent. You know, like I was mentioning, this PCOS group, and then there's endometriosis. And again, our ovaries have such a high concentration of mitochondria. It makes sense that if we can make our mitochondria healthy, that our reproductive system would get a leg up to heal itself. And I just love her story because she didn't know if she would ever be able to have kids. And now she has two. And she has a lot of stories of people who have been able to conceive when they did have trouble in the past. So it's just a testament to our bodies, what is possible when we give them the tools to heal and create the environment where they can heal themselves. It's amazing. And, you know, she continues to inspire me all the time. So, and then mitochondrial dysfunction even applies to hair growth. Um, this lady here, she had alopecia, which is very tied to oxidative stress, but she wasn't able to grow her hair. And you can see how cellular activation gave her the tools to regrow her hair. And I can't even imagine how her life changed in that way. So another cool thing about LifeVantage is that everything is synergistic. Um, there are some brilliant people in the world who have brought us just continual products in the activation realm, and we've found that they are all synergistic together. I need to do like a synergy Venn diagram or something, like a flow chart web, because everything is turning out to be synergistic. Even recently, we acquired a gut health company, and two brilliant companies with with all kinds of brilliant products coming together and finding the synergy in those products too. It's kind of a miracle. Not kind of, it is literally a miracle. Um, but more on that in a different presentation because I don't want to, tell you everything at once because that's not necessary. But everything is synergistic, which is awesome. These three pathways can increase. And just a little side note on sirtuins and NAD, intermittent fasting increases sirtuins. And if you were going to intermittent fast for 30 days, you would increase your sirtuins by about 90%. You can increase your sirtuin, you can double them in 24 hours with the NAD activator. So that's just, again, smarter, not harder, working smarter, not harder. So yeah, awesome. I will definitely get that synergy together. Different presentations we've had, I've like covered some synergy, but I didn't want to make this too long, but I'll definitely put something like that together. Um, and I just wanted to show you what's possible, right? What you can see. I'm a visual person, which is why I even do slides in the first place. But even in our animals, all mammals have an NRF2 pathway. And I believe all mammals also have NRF1 because there are some of the pet consultants that give their dogs NRF1 as well, because I'm sure they have mitochondria as well, but I haven't looked into dog biology as much, I will say. But I do have a dog and I want her to live as long as possible. So I do have her activated. But it's awesome to see whether it's recovery, whether it's like this dog regrowing hair, aging better, the two dogs in the same litter that one was activated, one wasn't. You can just see the effects of activation. Anything that pretty much any wellness challenge that you have, we can activate something for it. Um, Activated collagen, I'll just cover this one very briefly. we can turn on our own collagen production, and there's also a gene that degrades our collagen, and we can turn up the production, and we can like stop the degradation. So it's like this one-two punch of like increasing our collagen density. And that's been amazing. For me, it was my eyes. Those are my eyes on this screen. It's like I had an eye lift. My eyelids are continually lifted. Um, and my eyes have gotten brighter and the whites of my eyes have gotten whiter. So I've definitely noticed that. But collagen is the most abundant structural protein in your body. And it's way more than just wrinkles and hair and nails. It's so much more than that. And we can turn on our own production again, which is just an awesome thing. So, yes, I love the collagen. It really does taste good. Um, and it's effective, which is awesome. So, that's a little bit about the science and the background of LifeVantage. So, one thing that I did not get to add in was the gut health aspect. So, LifeVantage recently acquired a company called Love Biome, and they were, I had never heard of them before because they had a lot of activity on the East Coast, and they had didn't have a lot of consultants like more west. And LifeVantage was exact opposite. We have more on the West Coast and we have opportunity for expansion on the East Coast. So it was like we merged and it was like a match made in heaven, even though it was an arranged marriage. And so now we have a gut health activator, even stronger than the ones that we had, the gut health products that we had before. So now we can upregulate our gut peptides and we can have a more regular, um, extermination, excretion, extermination, what do they call it? Evacuation of all of that junk that we do not want sitting in our bodies, that sit in so many of our bodies in America. So that's been an awesome thing. And they've found synergy between our products, upregulating new genes, and even finding that we can reduce our we can um, reduce signaling in our cells for, mental health and stress and the way our bodies deal with stress with this combo of our flagship product and this gut health activator. So, and then we have new products coming out. It's crazy. We're always growing. And so that creates opportunity. So, one of the things that LifeVantage says is to tell the whole story. This is why we have consultants because our flagship product used to sit on the shelf at GNC, but a teenager working at GNC is not going to be able to explain to someone why they need Protandim. That's where we have partnered with LifeVantage to get the word out. And so that creates an opportunity with a business. So instead of paying for advertising, they pay us consultants to get the word out. And I love that I can share something that I was going to share anyway and make a living with it and earning potential that can expand exponentially. So, one of the things I'm going to do in the future is look into each of these markets and show what the current market is valued at and what the growth is valued at. Because you can see all of the markets that we're in: longevity, antioxidant, mitochondrial support is raising in awareness, NAD is skyrocketing, collagen obviously is a huge one, and now, of course, GLP-1. And gut health has been more mainstream, but it's supposed to, rise in the future too. And then the new products that we have coming out from Love Biome are like some carb blockers and to help reduce the impact of a high carb meal on our insulin production and our metabolic system. So that's exciting. I have that on the way. I ordered that. And then we have a pre-workout that just, came out, an energy, smooth energy, they're calling it. It does have a higher caffeine content, but all caffeine isn't created equal either. So that's something for another day. But whether it's brain support, pet longevity, and skin and clean skincare, which is growing, those are the markets that LifeVantage is involved in. And there's really untapped potential to create a business for yourself and share this valuable information with other people. And the awesome thing is, we all do it together. Like, I'm really passionate about sharing the science and but really it's just inviting people to take a look at something that could absolutely change their life. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And we get to work with people that we like. I don't have I never want to have a mainstream job that I hate. So um our lives are too short, and um, that's just added stress that we don't need. But so we really are building a community of wellness advocates who want to help others to live their most vibrant lives. And I love our community, so I always wear this shirt, CEO Love. And CEO originally it stood for creating entrepreneurs online, but one of the ways I see it is becoming the CEO of your own life and your own wellness. It's like really taking charge of your life. And this Empire of Love is on the back of my shirt. And I put it on here because really that's what it's about. We're empowering people, we're empowering people's bodies, we're empowering people's future. And it's a beautiful thing. And so another question as we end out, how many lives could you transform by sharing what you've learned tonight? And then I just want to thank you again for listening tonight. It really is my passion to share, but I want you to imagine waking up every day knowing that you're actively supporting your body's ability to live and age better. How would that change everything for you? For me, it gives me the confidence that I don't have to live in fear. Honestly, I'm like, especially after having worked at a hospital, I'm like, I'm going to find out what my body is capable of, and we'll see how I can live and age to the best of my ability because there's a lot of things I'm not doing. I didn't get my thyroid out. I'm not getting Botox. I'm not dyeing my hair. I'm not going to use filters. What you see is what you get. My goal is to age as gracefully as possible. I just turned 45 and I honestly feel better now than I ever have in my life. And there's many pieces to the puzzle. Um, but that's what we're all about, really. It's not just one thing, as Amanda and I always talk about. And we really do have a community that looks out for one another and really is all about continuing to learn and expand our knowledge how we can take care of ourselves better. So, yeah, those are my final questions. And then I just want to, yeah, many, many times over, thank you for coming and listening because more people need to hear this. And all those people in the PCOS group need to hear this. But if you're watching the replay, you can always reach out to us and book a one-on-one talk with us, and we can share more. And I'll get on that synergy and also those markets. I want to add them all up and see what it adds up to. Some staggering amount. So yeah, so that's all I have. I will stop the recording and then we can take questions.